I still can't turn on my video.
Okay, is it saying you don't have the access?
Yeah, it says you cannot start your video because the host has stopped it.
Oh wow. Let me go and let me go and check the settings. Um,
Should I log off and try again?
I'm actually on it. Feel like I did that when I was creating the webinar. Yeah, just make you host.
Can Mr. Gutson turn on his video?
No, he can't as well. So what I'll do is because
I can't actually start the video too. I can't. The video I said you cannot start your video because the host has stopped it.
Yes, yes.
So I just got home. So let me just.
Okay, I will just make you host when it's time for you to talk.
Or co-host?
Co-host. Okay, that works. Co-host. It's not showing co-host. So I would change it to host when it's time to talk. Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. So we're just waiting for more people to join, and we should start in 5 minutes.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're starting in 3 minutes time.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm home. I'm home now. I'm struggling to, I don't know. I can't,
Yeah,
the video.
I would allow access to video once it's your turn to speak. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining. We're starting in another 2 minutes. I don't know why I see. It's because of my link. Oh. Okay, so let's just start. Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, one moment. So let's just start. Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, one moment. So let's start. Okay, sorry. I was recording live, so we're streaming live on Facebook, so it was giving feedback. I hope everyone can hear me. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for joining the maiden edition of the Aide Solution Quarterly Business Webinar Workshop. We are so glad that you can take out your time to join us this afternoon. My name is Eniola Osadare, and I am the founder of Aide Solution. At Aide, we are a God-driven digital creative agency, and we offer best-in-class array of technological solutions to help businesses all over the world, and in Nigeria especially. We connect you to the right people, services, and solution. Our goal for this webinar is to support business growth in Nigeria. So recently, I was at an event at the LSCTF, and I found out that we have over 3 million businesses in Nigeria, and 7% of these businesses are actually the one that are contributing to the source of job creation in Nigeria. And in addition to that, statistically, it has been proven that most businesses failed on their 3rd to 5th anniversary, from when they started. And in Nigeria, small businesses, they make a large percentage of businesses that we have. So it is important for us to tackle, the things that these things that we see, most of the challenges that the SMEs face. So in a bit to tackle all this, today we are going to be discussing environmental social governance as a core to business growth and development. This is to just help businesses understand employee engagement, attraction of volunteers, leveraging on goodwill, access to fund as they align their businesses to SDGs, social and environmental initiative, and strengthening of their governance, values, and culture, right? To speak to us today, I have two very great speakers. I have our first speaker is Mr. Godson Ikebe. Is the Manager Sustainability and Climate Change at PwC Nigeria, and is also an ESG consultant. Our second speaker is Mrs. Taiwo Olaniyan. She is the head of business support at the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. So trust me when I say it's going to be a very wonderful session on the webinar today. And we're going to be having an interactive session. So please use the Q&A button when you have questions or you want to respond to any of the speakers as they speak. Please ensure that you use the Q&A button. Again, this to welcome those that are joining us from different platforms. If you're joining us from Zoom or you're joining us from Facebook, we want to say a very big welcome to you. So without no further ado, I'd like to welcome Mr. Godson. Mr. Godson is a sustainability, ESG, and sustainable development advisor. He holds an MSc in marketing communication from the School of Media and Communication, Pan Atlantic University, Lagos, Nigeria. He was a founding research fellow of the Knowledge Economy Group, a think tank that conducts research on the knowledge economy in Nigeria. His research and consulting focus on the interplay between developing and implementing sustainable strategy, sustainable value creation, and sustainable socio-economic development. In 2012, he participated in the Forbes Africa discourse on the challenges of Nigerians' brain drain and its mitigating effects in Africa. Excerpts from his contribution were published in the September 2012 edition of this magazine. He has worked with a range of clients across different industries, sectors, and markets, including and not limited to the academia, financial services, energy, manufacturing, development institution, and so on. Mr. Godson has published several articles in peer-reviewed journals, while his research interests include public policy, sustainable socio-economic development, sustainable markets, sustainable finance and investment, public and corporate sustainability strategy, ESG risks and opportunities, corporate tax responsibility, and sustainable innovation process. Join me as I welcome to the spotlight Mr. Godson Ikebe. Thank you very much, sir. Please, you can share your video now, sir. Hello, Mr. Godson, can you hear us? I think your mic is muted. You may want to unmute your mic if you're speaking and share your video as well. Oh. I think there is a network issue, Mr. Godson. Sorry, please give us a moment. Okay, so while we try to get Mr. Godson back into the webinar, having a little bit network difficulty. Okay, he's back. Okay, all right, sir. You can share your video now, sir, and welcome, sir. So you can unmute
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, perfect. We can hear you, sir. You can share your video as well.
Yeah, I can't share my video, saying I can't share my video. Yeah.
I just made you the host. So you want to
It's
try?
saying I can't share my video. Okay, I think it's better now.
Can see.
Please, sorry. Yeah, okay. Sorry, yeah. Thank you very much, Eniola, for the introduction. And please, I've actually been away from Lagos for the past 6 weeks. I've been in the north, actually leading a project in the north. I just got back into Lagos this morning, the 8:30 flight from Abuja. So that's why I'm quite, you see, I'm looking very rugged and rough. So this is nice being part of this webinar because this is what I've been doing for the past like 9-10 years. And one thing that I'm so excited about the SMEs because they are the pillars, they are the foundation of the conversations around sustainable development. And if the SDGs, if the SMEs can be able to understand this, their importance in terms of what they can do to enhance inclusiveness, employment in society, and build community awareness in relation to the job, what they do, I think we will have a very close, we'll be very close to actually achieving or contributing from an immense perspective to the SDGs as a whole. So I think I look forward to the session and I look forward to engaging the participants in the session. This is not, I don't see it as a training, it's more of an interactive session. We're here to speak to one another and here to answer the questions as they come and also to further to expand the insights and expand the knowledge base around the relationship between SMEs and the ESG and how the SMEs can be able to integrate the ESG into their businesses and also be able to drive the thinking around sustainable development. So thank you, Eniola. I look forward to engaging the further participants. Thank you very much.
Yes, so you can start to speak now. Okay, so you can start to speak now. Okay, so before before Mr. Gottin starts to speak, Mr. Gottin is going to be speaking to us on the theme of the webinar, which is ESG as a core of SME's growth and development. We know that. So I would like to just quickly do an introduction of Mrs. Taiwo Olanio, so that before we invite Mr. Gottin to speak. So as I've earlier said, Mrs. Taiwo Olanio, she is the head of business support at the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. She's responsible for driving access to markets, opportunities for beneficiaries, facilitating several MSMEs intervention programs, and provide access to finance to Lagos State business through the several loan and grants programs. She has built over 11 years work experience in the public and private sector and has provided technical and business support strategies to businesses at different levels of government and across the states in Nigeria. Before assuming a role at the LSCTF, Mrs. Taiwo worked with the Ondo State Office of Innovation and Partnership as the Director of MSMEs Program, at LEAP Africa as a Program Coordinator Enterprise Unit. She also worked at Faith Foundation as a graduate intern for the Special Entrepreneurship Program. All of this experience highlights our passion for supporting the MSME ecosystem and ensuring businesses thrive amidst challenges. She bags a bachelor's degree in political science from Florida Memorial University, Miami, USA, and a master's degree in public administration from Robert Gordon University, Aberdeen, Scotland. She's happily married and has 2 adorable children. You're welcome, Mrs. Taiwo. Would you like to just say hi to the participants? You can share your video now.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So I noticed, yes, please, I noticed that most of the attendees that we have here clicked on link that I shared on any of the social media pages. So it's carrying my name. So please, you can just rename the link, that's fine. Or you can check your email for your own unique link. But I don't want you to go through that stress of going to your email, right? So you can just rename the link with your name if that is okay by you. Because I'm seeing like over 10 Dockers. Yeah. That's interesting. Okay, so real quick, I will be transferring the spotlight to Mr. Godson. Having a bit of network issues, so I just hope that the Holy Spirit speaks to this network this morning. Okay, Mr. Godson. I think you've not connected your audio. I think you've not connected your audio if you can hear me, but it has to be your audio and speaker. So So I think because of time, we would do like a reverse engineering. We would continue with Mrs. Taiwo Olaniyan. She's going to be speaking to us on people management. Then Mr. Godson will come after. Just we hope that by the time Mrs. Taiwo is finishes speaking, his internet is going to be stable. So this is Mrs. Taiwo, you can speak to us now. Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon again, everyone. I was supposed to be the second speaker, but I've been upgraded as the first speaker. So thank you all for joining today's session. I hope it's going to be fulfilling for you. I was to speak on the topic people culture, but I want the session to be very, very interactive. I'm not an HR person, so, but in my own bit of understanding of speaking on people culture. So I would like to see is there a chat box here?
Yes, there's a Q&A chat box. There's also a normal chat box, but we can use the Q&A.
Okay, so I would like to see the chat box buzzing. I would like to hear your opinion of what people culture is. This is for the attendees on the session. When you hear the concept people culture, what comes to mind?
Please, we can use the chat. We want this to be a very interactive session. Please use the chat box. Please engage with us. If you can hear, okay, someone is raising. If you want to speak, you can type a message on the chat. That's fine. You can type a message on
I'll give our audience 1 more minute. I know someone has their hands raised. I can't see your name because your name shows as Dorcas. But please chat, send your send the response to the chat box and we can take up the conversation for that. Okay, I'll just move on so we don't hold everyone up. So people culture, people use it interchangeably. People say people culture, people use the word organizational culture. So I'm sure many of us have heard of the either people culture or organizational culture being used, depending on what organization you work with. So what does it actually really mean? Organizational culture, based on generic definition, says it's the collection of values, expectations, and practices that guide and inform actions of team members. So there's a key word here. It says values, right? So when we hear people culture, people also interchange it as organizational values or organizational culture or people culture, right? So organizational culture can be reflected in different aspects of the work environment. It can be reflected through the ambience of the organization itself, through the values, the core values of the organization, which is what the organization believes in. For us at LSCTF, one of our core values is, of course, respect, integrity. So those are kind of things people consider as organizational culture. They will also have, it can be reflected in the leadership of the organization. And that can be explained as how management and staff interact or how decisions are being made. Is the decision in your organization from top down or bottom up? People culture can actually be reflected also in the kind of people the organization employs. I'm sure many of you have heard of the new terminologies for the two categories of people in the workforce as at today. We have the Generation Z, who are referred to as Gen Z, and also the millennials. I would explain that much later into the presentation. And then, of course, the organizational culture can also be reflected in technology and tools that are available for staffs to use, and also in terms of the motivation or incentives. So I will go to my next question. I want to know in the chat box, who is responsible for driving people culture in an organization? Feel free to put your comment in the chat box. Who is responsible for driving organizational culture in an organization? So I've just been informed that the chat is disabled. So it's only Q&A people can actually use to comment. Okay, so you can go right ahead into the Q&A box and answer the question. Who is responsible for driving organizational culture in an organization? So I have Oluremi saying the leadership team is the responsibility of the leadership team to drive organizational culture. You're correct. There's no right and wrong answer actually. So feel free to put in your comments actually. Let's make this very interactive. It's a learning session for us all. So I also have someone, Remy Ademului, saying that the human resources manager is responsible. I also have someone saying the HR team or the business owner. I would say that everyone is absolutely right in one way or the other. But to be very honest, people culture is driven by the HR, all staff, senior management, and also board, depending on the kind of organization you work with. And I would explain why I said all parties are responsible for driving people culture in an organization. Starting from the bottom, I said board, right? The board is responsible for setting the organizational values and culture. That's their primary responsibility, right? Then the staff, mainly the middle level and the senior level staff, they're responsible for modeling as well as enforcing this culture, while the junior staff is responsible for living the culture. And then HR, as people had mentioned, they're responsible for monitoring the adherence level of everyone. So HR has a lot of role to play. Even though it's the responsibility of everyone, it's mostly managed by the HR unit, which is why I said everyone is correct. Culture fitness is one of the primary responsibility of the HR team. aside competence, character, and the likes when they're trying to seek for talent. So when I say culture fitness, there's so many unemployed graduates or non-graduates in Nigeria. Everyone is looking for a job, but it's not everybody that is employable, not necessarily because of the skill, but if the person doesn't fit into your organizational culture, the person is not employable. So HR is responsible for ensuring that talent that are being onboarded fits into the organization's culture. If not, there will be conflict, and conflict can also lead to high turnover in the organization. So before I go on, I would like to ask a question that some people might be wondering as well. How does HR ensure that recruitment is in accordance to company's organizational culture? So starting from the scratch, every organization should have their goals, their mandates, what they hope to achieve, and also what their values are. Like I mentioned earlier, I said at LSCTF, our core value, one of our core values is integrity, meaning everyone is supposed to speak the truth at all times. You practice what you preach. You can't say one thing and then you're caught doing something else. If you're caught doing something else from what is stipulated in your in the company's contract, of course, you would either get query depending on the gravity of what you do. If you don't get query, you can also be put on suspension, and then you can go on and on like that. So it is important for every organization to have an organizational value. And then, of course, it's like you having what you can take. And then, so when you see what is opposite of that, this is not something that is within your organizational culture and all of that. So I also mentioned that in the workforce, we have two types of talents right now in today's workforce. I mentioned the Generation Z, which is also referred to as the Gen Z, and also the millennials. So I'll do a brief difference about this particular characteristics of this particular talents, because they differ in some aspects in terms of their needs, their wants, and also how they fit into an organization's value. Like I said, if your organization doesn't have a set value, it'll be hard to know or gauge if this particular talent fits into your organization's culture or not. So for the millennials, they are people that were born within between 1980 to 1994. Then the Generation Z, the Gen Z, are people that were born between 1995 up until 2012. The millennials, they are people like myself who use desktops mainly, while of course the Gen Zs are the smartphone people that use headphones, headsets at work, this younger generation. Then in terms of working attitude, of course, the millennials are more of team players, while the Gen Zs are more of independent workers. They like to work, do things by themselves and then show results. So of course, you have to tie it into your organizational culture. It can be acceptable in a particular organization or sector, but not acceptable in some other organization. For tech industry, for startups, of course, you would see many Generation Z in their workforce, right? So depending on what your organizational culture or sector is. Then also for entrepreneurial adventures, of course, a millennial is less inclined. You will see a millennial doing 20, 30 years in a particular organization. But that's not the case for this new generation, Generation Z. They are more inclined to entrepreneurial adventure. So even when they're working with you 9 to 5, they also have other side hustle. So you have to be able to understand the peculiarities between these two categories of talents. Then also for educational qualification, the millennials are more likely to go into school, finish school, but we have a lot of high dropout rates amongst the Generation Z. because now people are of the opinion that you don't have to finish school before you can make it in life, right? So we also have another significant difference between these two types of talents. We have regarding social impact. The millennials are less focused on social impact or justice, while this new generation, they are more impact driven. Even when they have their side hustle, they want to ensure that they're solving a problem, they're meeting a need. And yeah, that's why you hear about these sustainable development goals and the like. So many of the organizations or side hustles, these Gen Zs establish is about making impact. So moving on to why this is important. This is important to people culture because the human resources units they have the responsibility to ensure that these categories of people fit into the organization's culture. I know the world is evolving, things are changing. So you need to know where your organization stands as it relates to the evolving world and evolving culture. And then it will also help in terms of who you're bringing on board to be a member of your team. So moving on again. Okay, yeah, thank you, Eric, for mentioning everyone in the organization is responsible for driving people culture. Thank you. Moving on, I would like to say that there's a significant benefit of having a great people culture. And this is for everyone who has a business. Even if it is a nano business, it is a one-man business, or it is a business that has 1 or 2 employees, it's important for you to have a good people culture because it helps to build a coherent team. People have a sense of belonging when the environment is not considered as toxic. I know some months back we had all over social media, people were analyzing toxic organizations and toxic work culture and the likes. So in order to get the best out of your team members, those that work in your organization, you have to ensure that the organizational culture is good. And I would explain what good means. So yeah, the benefits of having a great people culture is it would help you to build a strong team. It would also help you attract good talent. When I mean it will help you attract good talent, you know, word of the mouth is very important in this day and age. So different people post about, I work in this organization and this and this and this is what they do. These are the benefits they give staff and all of that. So of course, it's to encourage other people to want to also come on board to work in the same organization. So culture, I would say, can be seen from 2 lenses, internal and external. So when I say attract good talent, from the internal part, when the culture is good, is enabling, it encourages your staff to be more creative, more innovative. And of course, when they do things outside the box, it also increases productivity as well as sales. From the external perspective, when the culture is good, your talents will share the word, right? It increases brand reputation. It also attracts other people to want to jump on board. So it's a win-win, right? So you have to ensure that your organization is enabling. Then also it helps to retain good talents. This new workforce, both the millennials and the Gen Zs, not everyone is in an organization because of money. If the ambience, if the environment is welcoming and it's enabling, not every talent is working in an organization because of money. Some are motivated by different reasons aside money. So if the environment is good, I have great people, colleagues I work with, I'll be more inclined to stay than me working in an organization that pays me 1 million, but my boss shouts on me from morning to night, insults me, doesn't recognize anything I do. I would not want to work in that kind of environment, right? So that's one of the benefits of having great people culture. It helps you attract as well as retain good talents. It also helps you to achieve your organizational goals fast. Like I mentioned earlier, it helps build a coherent team. When the team are in one accord, of course, you achieve your organizational goals faster. Then also automatically, when everything is going well and is in sync, sales go up. So it's a win-win for your organization. Moving right along. So people culture, it's a broad word and it encompasses a lot of things. It's a lot of work for those managing it, or rather those who their primary responsibility is to monitor the adherence, which is the HR unit. So people culture, it encompasses talent management, which is of course talent reward and recognition, also leadership, training and development, of course, ensuring that staffs get the right kind of training to also increase their skills and their capacity on the job. Then also communication, mobility and development. So it's a whole lot for HR units. We must applaud organizations that have a functional HR unit, and organizations that people recognize as good organizations because people inside the HR units, they're actually doing their job to ensure that the organization is seen from the outside perspective as a good organization. So some of the things people consider these days as an organization that has good people culture, like for us at LSETF, there are some incentives or motivations that are financially inclined and some that are non-financial inclined. Like for us, we have a great HMO package. Every talent would want an organization that cares about their health and the health of their family. So if an organization provides access to an HMO plan, that's good. It means that if I'm sick, I don't have to start spending my salary that is never enough to start seeking for healthcare, right? I can use the HMO to access healthcare. So some organizations use HMO as an incentive to demonstrate their people culture. Some use transparent workflow process. This is critical for what types of workforce, even the Gen Zs and the millennials. If the organization is practicing what they're preaching, it makes them more believable. It makes people want to align with what the organization's objective is. So everything is being transparent. They tell you within 6 months after you're employed, you will get confirmed. And after 6 months, if you meet the required KPI, you're confirmed. If the organization says after 2 years, you'll be promoted. After 2 years, you are being promoted. It means there's a transparent workflow process, right? So that's also one of the things people see as a people culture that is encouraging, right? And also an inclusive environment. Do your staff feel that their opinion matters or their opinion is being counted? Even the junior staff, even as little as even the cleaners or the gatemen, we might see their role as a small role, but trust me, they can make or mar your organization if you don't treat them right. So having an inclusive environment where people feel respected, yeah, they're not being yelled at, shouted at, and all of that. They can walk up to their direct reports to create ideas or to fleshing up some ideas or to make some suggestions, and these suggestions are taken up the ladder and it's being considered. It makes people feel like they're part of a team, they're part of a positive organization culture. Then also personal development. I came into the organization with certain qualifications, right? But it would be good if the organization can also help improve my skills, even on the job as well as, on the job. So if the organization has some plans towards training and development, it's a good thing for people and they consider it as a positive organizational culture. Then depending on the level of the organization, some people, of course, some organizations provide staff bus. Some may not have the luxury of providing staff bus for their staff, depending on the number of staff they have and also the budget of the organization, but you can chip in into transportation stipend that can help lessen the burden of coming to work. And also some organizations even do what we consider as a hybrid system. You don't have to come to work Monday to Friday. You can work from home on some days. That lessens the burden of transportation on the staff. And also it also improves their productivity because the time they are spending on commuting to work and back, they could be using it for the organization. So these are also part of the incentives that people use for organizational culture. And then, of course, some people go as far as staff lunch, of course. Then reward and recognition is also an incentive for any type of workforce. I'm rewarded for the work I do. I'm recognized for the work I do. It makes me feel like I'm being appreciated at this organization, even if my salary might not be great, but at least knowing that I'm part of a growing force, I'm part of the growing organization and I'm being appreciated is a good thing. Then above all things, even though there are staffs that are not monetarily inclined, they're going to be in your organization for other reasons and other benefits, not just because of the salary. Ensure that even the salary is commensurate to what other people in similar sectors are doing. Don't say that I want a EA, but I want to pay the EA 30K. But you know that the rates going for that particular role elsewhere is about what 80, 90K. So be fair to your staff, even if it's a small business, be fair to them, let them be part of the growing business, but not that you want to take advantage of their desperation for a job and then you underpay them. People want to be recognized and appreciated, not underpaid. So I'll pause for a bit. Are there questions so far? I would like to see people ask questions now, if there are, in the Q&A box. Okay, I will then. Can you hear me? Do we have questions as it relates to people culture, organizational culture?
Yes, I can hear you, Taiwo. Please, let's put an emoji in the chat box if you can hear and there are no questions, please. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So I think we can continue. They are hearing us. Thank you.
Okay, so moving right along. Yeah, that's basically it as it relates to people culture. How do you now set as a business person, how do you set your business culture and make it more enticing? Well, I've given tips and tips on how kind of things people look out for when they join your workforce. So you have to start with your own core value. What does certain thing mean to you as a business person? What are the things you will take and the things you will not take from staff? So you can use that to formulate what your core values for your organization is. And then, of course, because you're the leadership, if it's a one-man business, you're the leadership of your organization, you have to ensure that you're living by this core value. Your core value on your website cannot be stating integrity, and your cut line, of course, you're contradicting yourself. People will not take you seriously. So you have to ensure that whatever core values you set for your organization, you live by it. And as your organization is expanding, ensure that the staff that come on board, the talents that come on board are also living by the core values. They're a reflection of you, and as well as a reflection of the organization. which they represent. I think that's pretty much it for this session for me. I'm open. I'm still going to be on a session even when Mr. Godson starts a session for any questions. So yeah, Eniola, I'm done.
All right, thank you very much, Taiwo. That was such a very, very insightful session. I hope that we all learned one or two things from it, right? As a millennial myself, all those culture are very important. You know, with everything that is even going on in the country, you putting in a culture that would reduce churn rates at which employees leave your organization is a very important, a key thing you should try to implement as a business owner. So let's go right into the next speaker. So Mr. Godson will be talking to us on ESG as a core to business growth. He'll be talking about the how, the what, and the when, I guess. And it's going to be an interactive session as well. So please, we know the comments is disabled. Please use the Q&A session. Interact with us. Let us know that you're hearing us, you're with us, you're learning something, and it'll be nice. So over to you, Mr. Godson.
Yeah, thank you very much, Eniola, for that. Yeah, and thank you, Taiwo, for the beautiful conversation that we just had on the culture, the peoples, the people, and conversation around the people in the organization, people management, organizational management, and all that. I think is a nice one. And I think you also said the context for the conversation we're going to have in now. Because first and foremost, ESG starts from the organization and from a cultural perspective. So culture, like they say, that according to the saying, a popular is a cliche, that's culture eats strategy for breakfast. So the fundamentals of business starts with the culture. What is the culture of the organization? And the conversation around ESG, which is sustainability, also starts from that conversation, that kind of organization being able to ensure that its culture is driven from a sustainability perspective, is driven from an ESG perspective, so to enable the organization to have a clear direction on what it needs to provide or what it needs to engage in engaging the market, engaging with employees and all that. So first and foremost, I would like to first of all talk about what does ESG mean in this context. I think I would like to throw it open. And if people, there's no wrong or right answer. This is not it's not an exam. It's not about being correct or being wrong. So I would like to throw it open. What do you think ESG means? What does the E mean? What does the S mean? What does the G mean? And what does it mean from a broader perspective? So I would encourage people to maybe drop their answers on the chat box as Eniola said. What do we think ESG means?
We're expecting our comments. Okay, there's a
comment.
Yeah, there's a comment in the Q&A by Sunday.
Using environmental, social, and governance factors to evaluate companies and countries on offer advance their sustainability. That's interesting, good. So what does it mean to us? As in, we can also look at it from that perspective. What do you think it means to you? What does it mean for your business? Because definitely we have SMEs here. So what does it mean for your business? What does it mean to you as a business leader, as an SME business leader? So what does it mean to you in the way you engage with your employees? What does it mean to you in the way you engage with your community, the community where you do your business? What does it mean to you in the way your business model? What does it mean to you the way you engage the markets? You engage your customers? What does it mean to you the way you engage regulators? When you pay your taxes and you engage regulators, what does it mean? So I think I will need more responses. There is no wrong or right answer. Whatever you think it means, just drop it on the chat box. So let's take the conversation from there. So we have like 3 more minutes to. Let's.
There's another comment. The person says, focus on improving equity by empowering individuals or communities.
Good. So please keep the comments coming.
Someone from Facebook said ESG means environmental social governance.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, there's another comment. The person says it can also relate to the internal practice of a company.
Yes.
Then another person says economic, environmental, social, and governance factor. I think they help in effective decision making for a company.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we have all spoken well in terms of our understanding. I think I can say we are almost on the same page of what ESG is about. So first, the acronym actually means environmental social governance. And basically, ESG, there are factors. Yeah, the split of factors, environmental factors, social factors, and governance factors that organization needs in terms of to enhance their decision-making processes from a sustainability perspective. So in essence, sustainability in itself is about the integration of ESG in decision-making process. So what do I mean by that? That integration of ESG decision-making process. So, the old traditional sense of organizations live or existing from a sense of making money, or it's not about profitization and nothing else, just to make money, Yeah, fine. Organizations are set up to make profit. That's a basic, is a given. But what ESG is saying, or sustainability is saying, is that in as much organizations are set to make money or make profit, or even the act of governance as a whole, looking at the way the world is today, from political governance, economic governance, to the role of the central bank, the central bank and all that globally and all that. What it's saying is that we're moving away from the perspective of just profitization or revenue driven to an area whereby the focus will be on an inclusive sense of profitization, whereby we focus on how do we make money. What do I mean by how do we make money? How do we treat our employees, for example, as a business? How do we include our employees as a business? How do we engage with our employees as a business in that process of making money by respecting them? It also includes about how do we engage our communities, the communities where our businesses sit, the locations where our businesses are, the communities where our businesses are, the locations where our businesses are. How do we engage with them? How do we carry them along in terms of, for example, you are in the business of making bottled water, for example, as a small business, and you live in a community whereby even access to water, it could be a challenge, but you've been able to create your own water, your systems of water, whereby you make this bottled water, but you do not really care about the community, where the community can be able to access water in itself. So what is that relationship with your community? What is that care with your community? What is that engagement with your community for you to understand the community needs? So that speaks to also a social perspective, so that ESG. So let's talk about the governance. What is the governance in this sense? What are your governance mechanisms? How do you strengthen your regulation? Yeah, it might be a small business and all that. Maybe you don't have a big board like a bank, which is normal. But the question is that what are your governance processes? How strengthened are your governance processes? How do you comply to payment of taxes, your taxes to the government? How do you comply in terms of accountability, transparency? How do you comply? How do you comply in terms of diversity policies in the workplace? What is the relation of diversity in the workplace in terms of when you treat your relationship between maybe male employees and female employees? So how do you take that into perspective? What is your whistleblowing mechanism in the workplace? Are you fair to your employees? Is fairness part of your business processes? So how your competitive approach? Compete with other businesses, how do you compete? Is it anti-competitiveness approach, or a sustainable driven competitive approach, whereby you recognize the fact that in as much as you want to make money, you want to grow your revenue, you want to grow your business, but you are very concerned about the fact that you want to grow your business in an ethical manner, in a way that considers businesses from a just perspective and equal perspective. Then from an environmental perspective, for example, you do import bottled water, how do you account for the extended products of those water? Are you responsible for ensuring that those waters do not get littered around the communities that you do business and all that? So these are some of the things that you need to be considering for ESG factors. So ESG is basically speaking to, as a business, which again does not exclude a small business, how do you run the business to ensure that you consider all inclusive mechanisms, stakeholder responsibility, community responsibility, governance responsibility. So that is what it's basically about for ESG. And one very important thing why ESG, because if you go to the GRI standards, you see that GRI have been able to map, for example, reporting requirements for SMEs, whereby SMEs can report on their sustainability activities, their sustainability in terms of, for example, product development, in terms of how they engage with their employees, in terms of employee policies. For example, what kind of leave policies do you have in the workplace? What kind of leave policy, from normal leave policy to, for example, maternal policy or paternal policy for leave? What sort of policies do you have? What sort of medical health package, for example, do you have for your employees as an SME? So these things have been able to, GRI have been able to contextualize them and encourage small businesses to report on their sustainability activities so that they can be able to integrate sustainability within their business. Because, one thing that only comes across when we talk of sustainability is that in Africa, in this part of the world, is that we hear the talk of, we need to, first of all, grow, develop, before we start talking about how do we account for environmental outcomes like climate change, the net zero conversation, and decarbonization. Or we're going to talk about, how we can account more for employees and governance. But no, these things can work simultaneously. And as small businesses hold the ace to do that, to grow the business in a way that, because they are closer to the people. If the nature of the small business in society, in terms of they are the engine of the society, they feed the big businesses. For example, the banks need the small businesses to do, whether in technology, they need them in their value chain, whether in technology value chain, whether in technology value chain, supply value, all the kinds of value chain that they have to feed them. So these small businesses are very close to the people. They hire a lot of people, the thousands of small businesses, they contribute so much to the GDP of the country growth. So in essence, the small businesses need to be more inclusive in their thinking in terms of how they engage with the society, how they engage with their employees, and how they engage with regulations, government rules, setting up board committees, in small board committees to run their businesses to ensure profitability as they grow the business. Because we're not saying, we're not saying small business should make money. No, that is not the conversation on ESG. We're not saying focus on doing good in the absence of privatization. But what we are saying is that the good that you do in the context of good, you speak to your business model that accounts for the employee in a way that the employee should be respected. In a way that society should be developed, which linked to the sustainable development thinking and the AU Agenda 2063, there accounts for that with the business. The business model accounts for regulation, tax payment at the right time, so that you can be able to fulfill government requirements and compliance requirements, regulation requirements in respect to that. Your business model that speaks to the standards, the sustainability standards, the global standards that will enhance your capability to be able to tap into the market. Because one thing it does for you is that the ESG gives you the opportunity to tap into cheap funds, to tap into funds from impact investors. Nigeria is a green society, very green in terms of impact investment. So to be able to build your organization, be able to integrate sustainability thinking, be able to integrate the ESG factors into your organization, we encourage investment. We encourage people, organizations to want to come into to invest in you. We encourage impact investors to think in the light of this small business is growing. This small business is not just growing, trying to make money, but it's also considered, it's also integrated. It has also embedded into its thinking, into its business model, ESG consideration. He's very concerned about his employees and the way the employees should be treated. He's very concerned about the community that he does his business in. He's very concerned about the environment and tries to ensure that he has policies in place to be able to protect the environment in a small measure that he could. So these things encourage impact investors who are concerned not about just making profit from your investing into your business, but also concerned about when they invest in your business, they want to see that those businesses are creating impact, creating social impact, creating environmental impact, is positive social impact and positive environmental impact, and reducing externalities that are negative in the society. So these are the kind of investors that you can attract when you and the whole conversations around what the Generation Z are looking at in today's world. What kind of, where do they want to work in? So that statement alone, where do they want to work in? Do we have people in Nigeria who actually want to work with an SME rather than work with an organization who pay them big money? Do we have people who can actually volunteer, who actually work, for example, maybe someone that works at PwC, actually volunteers for a small business without even receiving money, decides to provide the consulting services to help scale in relation to culture build, building their culture, building their people's management, integrating ESG to the business, helping them to articulate a clear roadmap for engaging impact investors or DFIs who would invest into the business. How to go about that? Are there such people? Yes, there are. But what would interest them about the business? What would they want to see about the business? What do they want to see for a business, for example, a tech business? What do they want to see from a tech business? For example, a tech business who is scaling, let's assume, for example, a tech business, whose business model is to address impact, the poor educational impact that we have in Nigeria today. So maybe you have developed an app, and that app, you want to bring in people in poor communities that are underserved in terms of educational health, and connect them to hospitals, connect them to schools, connect them to learning materials, connect them to forums of knowledge and all that. So that itself is creating an impact. It's creating an impact of knowledge development and knowledge. So those are the kind of things they want to do. And you can get those people to work with you to scale your organization, to help you build a network of possible other skilled people, very skilled and intelligent people who actually want to help, and even connect to the global market, connect to this global skills market, and also connect to the global market, access funds that will help you to grow the business. So this is what ESG can do for you as a small business who is ready to integrate ESG into his business thinking, into his business philosophy, or into whatever you do. This is very important for SMEs. So I don't know if you have questions. I think, like you said, it's an interactive session. We don't need to wait. We need to ask questions so that we can actually get the sense of what this conversation will lead to and mean for us and for our businesses from this session. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Yeah.
I have a question though. I don't know if anyone has a question.
Because the questions will actually make the session very more interesting in research. So I've read the contents of this. So I would like people to ask questions regarding conversations they've had and what the things I've said, so that we can have a more robust engagement.
Yes, please put your question in the Q&A session. Thank you. My question, sir, is as a small business owner, at what stage would you advise that I start, I start putting this thing into my process? Is it at the point at which I'm creating the business, or is it after a certain year? So at what stage as a small business owner should I start thinking of ESG? Should I start thinking of all these cultural practices?
Yeah, like we say, sustainability is a journey. It's not, there is no end to it. It's a dynamic, it's a continuity. We are all on that journey. Even the biggest businesses in the world, even companies like Unilever, who people think they are the top of the journey, are still on the journey. Even countries and societies, the developed world, are still on the journey. So as a small business, you can start from the very beginning. From the moment you decide to go into the business, your business can be impact focused. The world has left that mood of starting a business today, whereby the focus is just on, I want to make all the profit. But yes, make it like I normally say something that profit making is a norm, is a basic thing for every business. Every business must make profit. But what do you hold as a business? What do you show as a business is your impact? What defines your business? What defines the relationship of the business that you have set up and the society and the community? Why do people want to come to you to say, this is the business I want to patronize? So you can start from the very beginning. There's nothing elaborate about starting from the very beginning. All you need to do is to align your business thinking with sustainability thinking. Align your business processes with sustainability standards. Align it with SDGs. Look at the SDGs. You have the 17 goals that speak from goal 1, addressing poverty, hunger, addressing education, health, goal 3, equality, addressing inequality, expanding production and consumption, goal 12, climate action 30, and all that, 17 partnership. Look at the SDGs. Identify SDGs that are linked and aligned to your business. That is it. And when you align those SDGs to your business, what you do is to develop products, services, engage community, engage the market with that thinking, and set up a clear process of even documenting what you do gradually. So that is the process. That is it. It's not for you to become fully, no organization is actually a full ESG compliant organization. So as a small business, you start, that's where you start small. So that's how you also start with ensuring that from the very beginning in your conceptualization, that from the very, that you have that thinking. I know of an NGO who I just started, for example, and from the very, yes, the NGOs that do that, they don't even talk of ESG. I mean, but in America, will say, okay, NGOs are naturally aligned, but it doesn't really matter or mean so. But from the very conceptualization of this NGO, the thinking was to develop a framework that aligns with the SDGs, clearly, not assuming it, but a framework from the very beginning, a strategic pathway from the very beginning. You know, when people talk of strategy, strategy is one big thing. It's not a big thing. So that's why I said earlier that when the way you position your business or you're thinking around your business, you could actually get people from who are not ready, who come to say, okay, you pay because maybe you can't afford to pay at that point in time, and say, okay, we will develop for you a strategy that fits your business, that aligns with ESG, aligns with the SDGs, aligns with the frameworks that you need to grow your business in a way that you can be able to show impact. And those impact, what will they lead to? Investment opportunities. Because you need to think of the end goal. How do you assess the fund market? How do you assess the global fund market? How do you assess the DFIs, for example, who are ready to fund these businesses that they think they could address societal problems and environmental problems? So those are the kind of thinking you need to think. So from the very beginning, for me, I would advise small businesses to think ESG from the very beginning. as they are conceptualizing their business. For those who are already started their business, they can start thinking of how they can embed ESG into their business at this point in time, because that is the essence of, and the only way we can be able to achieve or contribute to the sustainable development conversation. So I don't know if I address your question, please.
Yes, perfectly, sir. We have another question here by Mr. Sunday. He said, is there a template for guideline and policies for small businesses to implement?
Yes, there are. Yeah, like I mentioned, like talking about the GRI. The GRI standards have a clear alignment, linking the standards to small businesses, and as small businesses can be able to. The focus of the GRI is more of reporting. How small business can report on their ESG practices. So, but from that conversation, the GRI's documentation, you can also see what they expect from small businesses. The GRI actually means the Global Reporting Initiative. What they expect from small businesses. Recently, there's a program in Ghana. It's been funded by the GRI with SCORE. SCORE is an ILO International Labour Organization's program on SMEs, training SMEs on best practices in regards to ESG. And there's an organization in Ghana that does that. So there's a project which, going on in Ghana in that regard, trying to boost the capacity of SMEs to be able to integrate ESG into their practices, using the GRI. So the GRI is one of those you can look at to, is a clear standard. Also, you can also develop your own policies and guidelines looking at different standards, because we actually have a lot of standards in terms of, for example, we have the IFRS that's coming on board. We have a lot of standards in regards. We have the SDGs, for example, as a framework that you can rely on in terms of looking at how you can build a policy or a strategy around your ESG implementation. So these standards you can actually develop. There's only World Bank, you also have the World Bank frameworks around the ESG conversation, which can also do that. So this frameworks can be also done in terms of building a bespoke, a contextualized framework for the business in itself, so that the business does not become a combat with maybe generic stuff. It becomes more focused and more tailored towards specific ESG, that the specific sustainability standards and ESG frameworks that are very connected to business. So that is what it is in terms of having a template. So
okay,
is there
thank you very much. I'd like to say one more thing. Is there a way, I think you once mentioned when you were speaking, can we tie people culture back into ESG?
Yes. In fact, one thing I keep saying is that, in many organizations, very big organizations, there is a dichotomy between the ESG function and the HRO function, which I think, to me, is a problematic thing. I always tell organizations I work for that the HRO is at the heart of ESG, because you cannot, if you remove the people from the organization, if you remove the workplace sustainability, which is part of social from the organization can actually not operate. So how the people are comfortable, how happy they are, how committed they are, how dexterous they are, that they want to work for those organizations because of the organization's sustainability thinking, ESG thinking, or the way they hold them in esteem matters a lot. So today's world is not about the traditional HR. It's what they call the sustainable HR, sustainable human resources. Building a people is an organization that the core is about the people. The people that work for the organization, the people in the society. So that conversation here is people. We hear about the people, the planet, and the profit. That people, the employees of the organization, the people in the society, the planet, the environment, how we protect it, maintain it, sustain it, and the profit, how we make profit when we're able to core. And the HRO function is core to sustainability. Without a sustainable HRO, without the HR meant for today, for the contemporary today, that's for today's world, contemporary time, will not be able to achieve it. It starts from the culture. It starts from the philosophy. It starts from the governing philosophy. The governing philosophy of the organization. What is the governing organization? That is where it starts from. And it is imperative for SMEs to account for this. What defines the organization? What are the values of the organization? What are the virtues of the, what are the norms? What are the strategic value driver? What do all these things mean within the context of product design, innovation, marketization, profitization? So this is what it is really about. And people at the core, and for SMEs, this is what is more important. So that you don't have attrition rate, because the SMEs have a high attrition rate. Research shows that, particularly in this part of the world, and also in terms of even the elasticity, longevity of SMEs, but things can change. Because when you start thinking from that perspective of we are the drivers supposed to inclusive development, you have the numbers in terms of the numbers of SMEs in Nigeria for over 6,000, millions SMEs, plus the micros and all that. We have the numbers, we have the size in terms of, we connect more to the community. So, and we connect to the community, the business, the big businesses, we serve the people. Yeah, we serve the people. We are more inclusive. We are more community-centric. We are more community-centric in the way we are structured naturally as SMEs. So I think people culture is very important when it comes to this. I don't know if I addressed your question.
Very well, sir. Thank you very much. That'll be all from me.
So do we have more questions? We can.
No, we don't have any questions, sir. No questions.
Thank you. So one thing I would say to close this for me is that the SMEs shouldn't see ESG as a foreign idea. They shouldn't see sustainability as a foreign thinking. They should just see it as something for big businesses, but they should see it as a journey, and they see it as a way they can actually access funding based on what they do and the impact of what they do can create. So that is it. So the impact investors, so for example, let me just show this over here. In November, there'll be an impact investment forum. Funny enough, we are part of the technical advisors to the Impact Investment Foundation, who are organizing it. I'm actually working with them in terms of the program, the Impact Investment Forum that's opening in November. One of the things that forum that will be done, there'll be a deal session whereby impact investors are going to come in to be able to see how they can invest in some businesses already creating impact. And so these things are really, Nigeria is moving towards that direction. And there's also a conversation on developing a regulating framework for impact investment in Nigeria. So this is an opportunity for SMEs here to think about how do we recalculate our business? How do we reform our business? So that in how much we want to make money, but we're thinking of the impact that we create. And how do we create this impact from within the organization, as it starts from building people within the organization, engaging our communities, developing products that people need to be able to address societal problems. I think this is what I have to live with the business, the SMEs that are on this platform. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, sir. Thank you so much. There's one more question for you before you make me the host. The question says, considering the importance of ESG to small business, are there organizations that provide support in this area in the country?
Yes, there are. There are organizations that provide support a lot, because one of the things that is happening is that you see a lot of organizations also having clear ESG codes and standards for their suppliers and for businesses that they do for building their supply chain, and SMEs are in the supply chain of these businesses. So in doing that, they don't just provide those codes in terms of comply, but they will support those businesses to grow. And like I said earlier also, the impact investors are knocking continuously and gradually. I mean, gradually, it's going to be big soon, bigger than before, on small businesses who are creating impacts. So we have individuals, we have DFIs, we have organizations, impact investors who are interested in that. And one thing I would say is that maybe I would speak to Eniola, maybe some of the businesses here will be invited to Impact Investors Forum. I think that would be a first step for the forum in November. So it will be a first step inviting some of you so that you can come and hear impact investors talk about what they're interested in and what they are doing in Nigeria. And that can be a starting point in terms of understanding clearly that there are opportunities for SMEs to scale in relation to the impact that it creates. I don't know if I addressed your question.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. Please, can you make me the host? Thank you. Mrs. Taiwo, I have a question for you. And the question is on how do you, how do you think, how much do you think the Nigerian culture has impacted business culture in Nigeria, like the culture that we have in Nigeria? How do you think it has impacted the culture of businesses in Nigeria as well? That's for Mrs. Taiwo.
Okay.
So Godson, please can you make me the host?
All right, thanks for that question. Of course, there's no how a business can work in isolation. You're working in a context, you're working in a country, you're working in an environment, and you will definitely be influenced. But as a business person, as a business owner, you just have to know your stand. Nigerian culture, for example, is a culture that is corrupt and also corrupting. But you as a business owner, you have to take a stand. Do you want to have this as one of your core values? Do you want to be influenced in that negative light? To be a corrupt organization, or for people to identify you or know this organization to be a perpetrator of corruption? So yes, there's a very high tendency for the Nigerian environment to influence the organization, but also there's also an opportunity for your organization based on your own core values to also influence people in the Nigerian ecosystem. So yes, it's a symbiotic relationship, but you understanding what your core is and not being influenced in a negative light. You can be influenced positively by the good things in the Nigerian culture and refuse to be influenced negatively.
Thank you very much for that answer. That was spot on. So the difference between how our mothers did business and how we are doing business is what we are talking about today. So they focused on just making profits, right? So we think for growth, for you to be able to grow as a business, you need to look forward than just making profits. You need to look at, okay, how about also making impact as a business? For us at Aide, we believe that we are not just there to just make profits, but we are partnering with business in Nigeria, providing them, tools that can aid their growth, innovation, and also increase in revenue. That's our business model. I hope that as business owners here, you have your business model on not just how to make profits, but how to impact, and also how to have a very good people culture. Keeping people in your business is key, because they are the one that helps you grow that business. So it is key. It is something that we need to look at. One other important thing that Mr. Godson has also pointed out when he was speaking was that you putting all these policies in place, gives you access to, fund these things that you want as a business. By the time people see that your business is structured and there is an impact, you get access to all these things that you want as a business person and more. So please, do we have any other question for any of the speakers? We are beginning to round up. It was such an insightful session, and we thank everyone that took out time to join. We thank you, everyone that took out time to join. So please, Any other questions or comments from anyone? The comment to be fine. Okay, so in the absence of none, there is a poll on your screen. We want to know if we made any impact with this webinar. So please let us know. Would you like us to continue? It's a quarterly event. So every quarter we hope to talk about these things that would, speak to businesses in Nigeria. So please take the poll and let us know feedback if you think we should continue. And feel free to also reach out to us. My email address is eniola.osadare@aide-solutions.com. I'll just put that in the Q&A session real quick. And for all of us that registered, I would send us an email as well. I would also send us an email for the November event that Mr. Gossin has said. So when he reach out, when we have information about the event, we'll forward it to us all. So please, let's take advantage of these opportunities that come to us. Let's build a business that will stand the test of time. Let's build a business that will help improve the economy in Nigeria. So for us to have the Nigeria that we want, it is something that every one of us has to contribute in, every one of us. So let's not leave this business growth to the whites that are coming in. If you go to Lagos, the Lekki phase 1, you see most people from India and Indonesia, they're having businesses there and they're taking over. But we are here, we have businesses, we have creative minds, we have people that can, do these businesses as well. So let's have this growth mindset, and let's build our business a standard, in a very good standard. Thank you very much. We've got very good response on the poll. A lot of us want us to continue. God bless you. We'll continue this next quarter, in December. We'll send emails across and we'll also post on our social media page. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Gottin. Thank you, Taiwo, for a wonderful session. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you. Mr. Gottin, you want to say something?
I wanted to say thank you also.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. So please have a wonderful weekend and a nice day. And that will be all from me. Thank you.